All right, hi there. You are watching this video today to earn your retake on the main idea and context clues assessment you took the other week. What we're going to do in this video is we're not only just going to review the skills, but this is going to be a passage preview for your retake. So the benefit of watching this is one, you earn your retake, but also you'll get a preview of the passages that will be on your retake. So let's go ahead and get started with the passages. Here's passage one. Throughout history, humans have admired elephants for their strength, their intelligence, and their courageous, intrepid behavior. The largest land mammal, elephants are divided into species named for the continents on which each is found. The African elephant stands 12 feet high and weighs up to 8 tons. The Asian elephant is slightly less massive. For centuries, Asian elephants have been carefully trained to perform the most arduous of tasks, such as carrying heavy loads and patrolling protected forests over rough terrain. Asian elephants have proved more pliant than the African species. They can respond to more than 30 vocal commands from their handlers. There is one appendage, however, that critically endangers elephants: their ivory tusks. The tusks have made elephants vulnerable to poaching in both Africa and Asia. Poachers employ a variety of brutal methods to kill a wild elephant. They then slash off the animal's tusks for the illegal ivory trade and abscond with their loot. It has proved especially difficult to disentangle the complex issues surrounding poaching in the ivory trade, a practice that puts all elephants at risk. The threat to elephants is serious enough to have made them one of the chief concerns of wildlife conservationists, especially in Asia. Advocates of tough anti-poaching laws argue that only severe penalties will rectify the situation and ease the threat to Asian elephants, now numbering only 30,000 to 50,000 spread over 13 countries. India has the largest population by far. Fortunately, elephants have an auspicious reputation in India, and in 1992 it established Project Elephant as a national agency to protect Elephas maximus. In Africa, certain countries assert that they have too many elephants. These countries have, therefore, devised culling campaigns to reduce the herds. Such programs are reviled as cruel by many conservationists. So though it is said that an elephant never forgets, it appears that people might forget the elephant. The many changes posed by conservation efforts are daunting. Are these majestic animals fated to suffer extinction, or can well-designed conservation programs afford them a reprieve from such a bleak future? So that is the end of passage one. Let's go ahead and move to passage two. This is from the New York Post, and it's titled "The Elephant Who Stopped for a Child." One evening in Oligara village, West Bengal, India, a lone forest elephant broke down a door and crashed through a wall, likely in search of food. The flimsy structure was no match for the huge animal, and pieces of the home rained down. But then came the sound that changed everything. The elephant suddenly found himself standing over the bed of a crying child, and he stopped, his devastating charge. For some reason, instead of ignoring the baby or swiping her aside, the animal stretched out his trunk and began to pluck debris off the cot, cleaning up all the rubble that had fallen on the girl. It was as if an empathy switch were flipped in the elephant's brain, perhaps by the sounds of the girl's distress. Elephants are known to respond to a herd mate's sounds of suffering with caresses and soothing chirps and rumbles. To the child's parents, it was simply a miracle, and then came a second miracle of sorts. The elephant turned and walked away, returning to the forest without further commotion. So those are the two passages that are going to be on your exam, or your retake. What you're going to notice is that they're chunked up. So it'll ask you the main idea, and it'll ask you to solve for some unknown words. And so it'll give you paragraph by paragraph as you go through the retake. Now, let's go ahead and look at a couple of those chunks and then practice with each process once. So here's our first example. So here's our first example. What we're trying to figure out is we're trying to figure out the word intrepid. So our first step is going to be to understand and summarize what's going on in the sentences above and the sentences below this word. So here's our context zone that I've highlighted here. It says, throughout history, humans have admired elephants for their strength, their intelligence, and their courageous, intrepid behavior. The largest land mammal, elephants are divided into species, named for the continents on which each is found. The African elephant stands 12 feet high and weighs up to 8 tons. So let's go ahead and look at where this word is and what is going on in this context zone and put in step 1 what we think is happening here. You can pause the video if you want to work along with this, or you can just wait to see what the answer is here. So to be straightforward and to the point, I put for step 1, humans admire elephants. Now, if I go ahead to step 2, I'm looking for the job of the word. So it says intrepid behavior. So I have to ask myself, is it an action? Can I go intrepid? Can we intrepid together? Not really, that doesn't sound right, so it's not an action. Is it a person, place, or thing? Well, it doesn't seem to be. There's not some indicators before it, so it doesn't say like the intrepid or an intrepid. So most likely this is going to be a descriptive word. So if that's the case, I have to say, okay, what's it describing? In this case, it's describing the intrepid behavior of the elephant. So for step 2, I'm going to say intrepid is describing the behavior of the elephants. Now that I have step 1 and 2 done, I'm going to go and say, is it going to be positive, negative, or neutral? So again, I'm going to look at the text and look at the words surrounding. So it says humans have admired elephants, so admired is positive, for their strength, their intelligence, and their courageous, intrepid behavior. So all of these words leading up to intrepid indicate that whatever intrepid means, it's going to be something positive. So intrepid behavior is going to be some sort of positive behavior that's admired by humans. So I'm going to go ahead and put it is positive. And it seems to have something to do with the word courageous because it says courageous, comma, intrepid. It's positive and seems to be a word connected to courageous. All right, now I have to then solve and replace, and I have to try to figure out what intrepid is. Notice how in this sequence here, it says their strength, comma, their intelligence, comma, and their courageous, intrepid behavior. So because it says and before courageous, intrepid behavior, it makes it seem like intrepid means something similar to courageous. So I'm going to give you a list of choices here, and in your mind I want you to think of which choice is closest to the word courageous here. All right, so here are some choices: cowardly, fearless, timid, enthusiastic. Think in your mind right now which word you think would best replace intrepid in this sentence. Again, we said what word is most closely linked to courageous. If you thought it should be fearless, you are going to be correct. The correct answer here should be fearless. So again, anytime you're doing context clues, you want to try to replace the word in the sentence to make sure it makes sense. So it says, throughout history, humans have admired elephants for their strength, their intelligence, and their courageous, fearless behavior. All right, that seems to make sense. So words that I could have eliminated right away just because they don't make sense would be cowardly. It's not a positive word, and I already said the word has to be positive. Timid, which it means something similar to cowardly, so I can eliminate that. And enthusiastic is a positive word, but it's not closely related to courageous. So we know that fearless has to be our correct answer choice. All right, last one we're going to take a look at is the main idea of this paragraph. So here's the paragraph. India has the largest population by far. Fortunately, elephants have an auspicious reputation in India, and in 1992, it established Project Elephant as a national agency to protect Elephas maximus. In Africa, certain countries assert that they have too many elephants. These countries have, therefore, devised culling campaigns to reduce the herds. Such programs are reviled as cruel by many conservationists. All right, now, First step in the main idea process is to come up with the topic. So as we think through this, what is the topic of this passage? If you said the topic was elephants, you would be correct. So let's go ahead and put elephants. Remember, topic is always one or two words, and the topic should help you come to your main idea. So for step 2, what we're going to ask ourselves is, all right, we know the topic is elephants. What is this passage saying about elephants? Now, on the assessment, don't get tripped up in just honing in on details. So what I mean by that is I don't just want to say the main idea is that India has the largest elephant population. That's because if I ask myself, all right, is that the main idea? Well, no, it's not only talking about elephants in India. It also mentions elephants in Africa here. So I want to ask myself as a whole, what is the paragraph talking about? So if you want to pause the video and see if you can come up with it and then check your answers, you can. I'm going to give us our answer in 3, 2, 1. So, did you come up with something along these lines? India seeks to protect its elephants while some countries seek to reduce their elephant population. So I not only mention India here and elephants in India, I also talk about how in other countries, specifically it's countries in Africa, they seek to reduce their elephant population, which it mentions in the last part of this paragraph. So as you're taking this assessment, always make sure that when you are coming up with the main idea, it's not only talking about just a small portion of the passage, that it's talking about the passage as a whole. And one great way to check that is to go back to the passage, which is your step 3. Go back to the passage and highlight any details or look for any details that support your main idea. So I'm going to go through and reread. So India has the largest population by far. That doesn't really mention anything about protecting elephants. The next one says, fortunately, elephants have an auspicious reputation in India, and in 1992 it established Project Elephant. And then it goes on to talk about that it protects the elephant. So I'm going to say, all right, well, that does prove my main idea. Then it says, in Africa, certain countries assert that they have too many elephants. These countries have therefore devised culling campaigns. So I'm going to say, like, okay, well, that definitely proves my main idea, which is that some countries are reducing their elephant populations, because it says it right there. So I'll highlight that. And then such programs are reviled as cruel by conservationists. That also goes along with conservationists and talking about how some are trying to protect and how conservationists are not pleased with countries that are supporting killing animals, or specifically elephants here. All right, so then I have 3 details that prove my main idea. I know I'm good to go, and I know that I have the correct answer choice selected. All right, that's the end of our passage preview. Good luck on your retake. Make sure you're reaching out to your teacher if you have any questions.